now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. Please be seated. Does any member wish to give a notice of a motion? It's only one, it's Honorable Prince. Notice of a motion? No? Okay. Does any member wish to move a motion without notice? Okay. Honorable Mpambo Spugwana.
Thank you, Chair. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I wish to move without notice that this House, firstly, notes that the Auditor General's presentation in Parliament last week that found the Western Cape to have received the highest number of clean audits in 2018-19 financial year. Secondly, the Western Cape has consistently come out as the top financial performer according to the Presidency's Performance Management Assessment Tool, MPAT, for the last 5 years. And lastly, further note that where the DA governs, clean governance follows. This is a clear indication
Order, members.
to the voters of South Africa that the Democratic Alliance is ready to govern the country after the 2019 election. I so move, Chairperson.
Is there
Thank you
any
very much.
objection to the motion? In light of the objection, the motion may not be proceeded with. The motion without notice will now become notice of a motion. Honorable Prince.
Thank you, Chairperson. I hereby move without notice that the Council notes that on Friday, the 23rd November 2018, the Deputy Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, Honorable Ratification, together with the Deputy Minister of Human Settlements, Honorable Zaukota, handed over a house to Ms. Boyes Wastierman in Bongoletu Township in Oudtshoorn. Further notes that the delivery of the house to Mrs. Stierman was a fulfillment of a commitment that was made to Mrs. Stierman when the NCOP was in Bongoletu in 2015 through its program to taking Parliament to the people, where Mrs. Stierman shared the painful plight of lacking adequate shelter that was wheelchair-friendly, and takes this opportunity to congratulate the Deputy Chairperson in the Ministry of Human Settlement to following up on their commitment to assisting Mrs. Stierman. I so move. Thank you.
Is there any objection to the motion? In light of the objection, the motion may not be proceeded with. The motion without notice will now become notice of a motion. Honorable Mtimunye. Sorry, Mtimunye. Honorable Kone. Why are you standing?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I want this House to note the objection of the EFF, and
No,
we want to
Honorable
know
Kone.
who
Honorable
funded
Kone.
the
Honorable
House.
Kone.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Honorable Kone, I have already dealt with the objection, so there's an objection, there's no need to entertain it. Honorable Mtimunye.
Thank you, House Chair. House Chair, I hereby move without notice on behalf of the ANC that Council notes with utmost concern and apprehension the brutal and senseless killing of 2 people in the Inside O Regional Court at the Durban Magistrate Court yesterday. Further notes that a police officer from Guamasho Police Station and his wife were appearing in the O Regional Court on the 8th floor of the Durban Magistrate Court, where they were in the process of getting a divorce when the police officer shot his wife and a brother-in-law, killing them instantly before turning the gun on himself, and this opportunity to convey its heartfelt condolences to the families of the deceased and welcomes the investigation that was sanctioned by the Minister of Justice to determine the circumstances leading to the incidents and ways of preventing similar incidents in the future. I so move.
Is there any objection to the motion? The motion is agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable Oliphant.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, we're doing motion without notice, ne?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I hereby move without notice that the council notes with utmost concern report that a 12-year-old girl in Pampilstad in the Northern Cape is pregnant after being repeatedly raped by men from her village. Further notes that 3 men aged 56 and 61 were arrested at Pampilstad, and a 20-year-old man suspect was also arrested at Velkom in the Free State after a police manhunt. And take this opportunity to welcome the decisive intervention of Provincial Commissioner of the Northern Cape, Lieutenant General Peter Sivuru, from ordering the activation of the 72-hour action plan for the speedy arrest of 3 suspects who are expected to appear in the Komocho Magistrate Court on Monday, 3 December. I so move, Chair.
Is there any objection to the motion? The motion is agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable Dlamini.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. On behalf of the African National Congress, I hereby move without notice that the Council notes with utmost concern the arrest of the soccer legends Mike Sporo Mangena after a drug manufacturing plant was discovered on his hillside farm in Redfontaine. Further notes that Mike Sporo Mangena, who has illustrious soccer career, playing for teams such as Kaizer Chiefs, Vets, Durban Bushbucks, Mamelodi Sundowns, and Morocco Swallows, has denied any involvement in the drug manufacturing plant during his bail application, where he was granted a 50,000 bail. Further notes that Mike Sporo Mangena was arrested with 3 other suspects who are foreign nationals after the police were alerted to the drug manufacturing plant, which was put on the 3-week observation by the Hawks Crime Intelligence and Anti-Drug Unit as part of our national concerted effort to wage a battle against the proliferation of drugs on our streets. And take this opportunity to congratulate the police for their tireless efforts to wage a fearless battle against drug peddling, especially the manufacturing of drugs in private properties such as farms and remote located houses and storage facilities. I so move.
Motion. The motion is agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable Stock.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. On behalf of the ANC, I hereby move without notice that the Council notes and welcome the announcement of the Speaker of the National Assembly and the Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, acting in their capacity as the Executive Authority of Parliament, to appoint the Public Service Commission to conduct an independent investigation into the personnel practices pertaining to the brutal death of Mr. Lennox Harane, who was an employee of Parliament and a section manager in the Multilateral Relations Unit of Parliament. And further notes that this investigation is intended to assess any possible breach or violation regarding to the relevant legislation, organizational policies, and guidelines, his conditions of employment and the security apparatus of the institution, and ensure that decisive action is taken to prevent incidents of a similar nature in future. I so move.
Is there any objection to the motion? The motion is agreed to in terms of section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable Dr. Matime.
House Chair, thank you very much for this opportunity. On behalf of the African National Congress, I hereby move without notice that the Council, 1, knows and welcomes the launch of the 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence National Campaign in Melmoth in KwaZulu-Natal Province on Sunday. 2, further note that during the launch, the Minister responsible for women, Honorable Batabile Dlamini, announced that government has partnered with Chapter 9 institutions and civil society groups to wage a concerted and fearless fight against the scourge of women abuse and gender-based violence in the country. And lastly, Chair, take this opportunity to welcome and express its utmost support of the 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence National Campaign and joins the call to all people of South Africa to stand up against all forms of violence against women and encourages all victims of gender-based violence to stand up and say, #MeToo. I so move. Thank you.
Is there any objection to the motion? The motion is agreed to in terms of section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable Mampuru.
Thank you, Deputy Chair, House Chair. I hereby move without notice that the Council notes with utmost concern that according to the United Nations Global Study on Homicide, gender-related killing of women and girls, the African continent accounts for the second highest number of women killed by intimate partners after Asia. Further notes that while about 20,000 women were killed by their intimate partners in Asia, about 90,000 women were killed in Africa last year. Take this opportunity to express its utmost concern about the high numbers of women and girls who continue to lose their lives from their intimate partners or family-related homicide, and encourages all victims of gender-based violence to stand up and say #HearMeToo and appeal to all men to rise and say #NotInMyName. I so move.
Is there any objection to the motion? The motion is agreed to in terms of section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable Makwebo.
On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I wish that the House will note that the former African National Congress, Northern Cape Chair John Block, has now started his 15-year jail term. Earlier this month, the Constitutional Court dismissed his application by John Block and businessman Christos Scholz for leave to appeal their convictions and sentences for corruption and money laundering. The case related to lucrative property tenders awarded by several Northern Cape government departments, and that this House congratulates our judiciary for their fight against corruption. I so move.
Is there any objection to the motion? In light of the objection, the motion may not be proceeded with. The motion without notice will now become notice of a motion. Are there any further motions without notice? Honorable Isaac.
Yeah, Chair, just through, I want to check if Honorable Olifant will be visiting Mr. Block and taking him some food once a week.
Out of order. Honorable Chief Whip.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chair, I move to amend the order paper that item 2 be deferred from the order paper.
As there is no speakers list, I shall now put the question. The question is that the motion be agreed to. As the decision is dealt with in terms of section 65 of the Constitution, I shall first ascertain whether delegation heads are present. In accordance with Rule 7.1, I shall first allow provinces to make declaration of vote if they so wish. We'll vote in alphabetical order. Eastern Cape.
Eastern Cape support.
Free State.
Free State support, Honorable Chair.
Gauteng,
Gauteng support, Chair.
KwaZulu-Natal,
KwaZulu-Natal iyayixhasa.
Limpopo,
Limpopo siyavuma.
Mpumalanga,
Mpumalanga iyachasa, Chair.
Northern Cape,
Northern Cape, Raduma Modula Stila.
Northwest,
We agree, Chair.
Western Cape,
Agreed.
I see you for mentioning declaration 10. So when is declaration ihlala ngaphambili?
no, order members. Honorable, order members. Honorable Mpambos Puwan. I started by allowing provinces that wanted to make it declaration.
Yes.
And there was no province that wanted to make it declaration.
Yes.
Now we're voting what Western Cape vote.
Ihlala ngaphambili. Can you be fair? Can you be fair and look on your left-hand side? You only look on the right-hand side and start with the Eastern Cape. You don't look this side because I had raised my hand.
Now we're voting.
Can you protect me from Matlamin?
No, we are protected. Now,
Okay.
now we are voting. Let's have the vote of Western Cape. Let's have the vote of Western Cape. We are voting.
Ihlala ngaphambili. Cela ukwenza declaration number
Let's
2.
finish voting, Mama. We are voting. I'm saying, let's have the vote of Western Cape. Are you agreeing or not agreeing?
I'm not agreeing.
Okay, thank you. 8 provinces voted in favor. I therefore declare the motion agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. The Secretary will read the first order of the day.
Consideration of Administrative Adjudication of Road Traffic Offences Amendment Bill, B38D 2015, and report of Select Committee on Economic and Business Development thereon.
Honorable Khai, Select Committee Economic and Business Development Chairperson.
Honorable House Chairperson, Honorable Chief Whip, honorable members, I'm tabling the report of Select Committee on Economic and Business Development on the Administrative Adjudication of Road Traffic Offences Amendment Bill, B38D 2015, Section 76. The Select Committee, having considered the ALTO bill, referred to it, reports that it has agreed to the bill with amendments. The object of the amendment bill, that is the ALTO, seeks to amend the Act in order to achieve efficiency and financial sustainability of issuing authorities, as well as road traffic infringement authority, as to improve the manner of serving documents to infringers, to add to functions of road traffic infringement authority, to establish and administer rehabilitation programs, provide for the apportionment of penalties, to provide for the establishment of the appeals tribunal. This bill is an amendment to the 1998 Act, which was promulgated to achieve the following: to promote road traffic quality by providing for a scheme to discourage road traffic contraventions, to facilitate the adjudication of road traffic infringements, to support the prosecution of offenses in terms of the national and provincial laws relating to road traffic, to implement a points demerit system, and to provide for the establishment of an agency to administer the scheme. Honorable Chairperson, House Chairperson, when this bill is implemented, the demerit point system will also be implemented. The demerit point system will provide for an easy and objective mechanism of identifying habitual infringers so that the applicable penalties can be imposed. That those that continue to break the laws will find themselves ultimately losing their driving licenses through suspension and cancellation of their driver's licenses. ALTO bill does not only provide for punitive measures, but it also provides for rehabilitation of drivers that might have lost their driving license. Drivers can redeem themselves through the rehabilitation programs. So in terms of the processes that the committee followed, is that the committee, after receiving the briefing on the 24th of October 2017, it advertised the bill for 2 weeks, inviting all interested stakeholders to submit written submission. Further, the advert indicated whether stakeholders would like to make an oral submission. The committee facilitated public participation and received 4 submissions prior to the closing date. All the submissions were considered and all submitters were invited to make oral submissions. Only 2 submitters availed themselves to make oral presentation and 2 submitters declined. On 14 and 21 August 2018, the committee considered negotiating mandates on the bill. The Department of Transport responded on the submission received and responded to the question by members in respect thereof. On the 21st August 2018, the committee deliberated on the content of the bill and considered issues raised in the public participation period and the department's responses thereto. Having considered the matter, the committee agreed to adopt the bill with amendments as follows. The following will be the new clauses in the bill that talks to the issues of a tribunal, that a tribunal may on good cause shown condone the late filing of appeals or review. But also with regard to the appeals and reviews, that is any person affected by the decision of the tribunal may apply to magistrates court designated by minister in terms of promotion of Administrative Justice Act of 2000 to review that decision or appeal to the magistrates court against the decision of the tribunal. An appeal or review against the decision of the tribunal must be lodged within the relevant magistrate court within 30 days of the decision of the tribunal. The other clause relates to the serving of documents to an infringer. That will be done in the following forms: through personal service, postage, or electronic service. With regard to the final mandates that were received by the committee, the following provinces voted in favor of the bill: Eastern Cape, Free State, Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and Northern Cape. Western Cape voted against the bill, but the committee did not receive the final mandate from the Northwest Province. The committee hereby recommends that the ARTO Amendment Bill be adopted by this House. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you. That concludes the debate. I shall now put the question. The question is that the bill be agreed to. In accordance with Rule 71, I shall first allow provinces the opportunity to make declaration of vote if they so wish. I'll be very much vigilant if you're on my left. Western Cape. Yes, you can do it, Honorable Mpambos Puwana. Order members.
Ndifuna ufunda lento apha phambili. Mampuru. Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Nyambi, honorable members of the NCOP, fellow South Africans, the Standing Committee on Transport and Public Works reports that it confers on the Western Cape Permanent Delegate in the NCOP the authority not to support the bill for the following reasons, Chairperson. Accordingly, any sensible initiative aimed at achieving provincial and national goals are supported. The Western Cape, therefore, supports the strategic intent behind the development of the ARTO Act, more particularly the desire to reduce road accidents and road fatalities. However, the Western Cape has concerns regarding the readiness of the Road Traffic Infringement Authority to implement the ARTO Act. The lack of readiness was apparent when ARTO was piloted in Johannesburg and in Tshwane. While this does not directly relate to the bill, the Western Cape Department of Transport and Public Works feels that it is opportune to advise that the implementation of the ARTO Act in any area, if the authorities in that area is not ready for the implementation or the RTTIA itself isn't ready, it will lead to a breakdown of law on our roads, which will in turn will result in road safety being compromised, Chairperson. As for this, and the specifics stipulated in the final mandate, the Western Cape cannot support the ARTO Amendment Bill. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Eastern Cape.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thina siliphondo lase-Eastern Cape sinale mbono. Kulo mthetho wongezwayo siyawusapota thina ngezingxelo zethu. Kule meko sikuyo ngoku, abantu abaninzi bayenzakala ezindleleni ngenxa yongakhathali kwabaqhubi. Xa singakujongela phaa ku-2014 into eyenzekileyo, amawaka ali-10, 364 crashes benzakele abantu. And i-fatalities ezibe khona kuloo nto, mhlawumbi umuntu abe paralyzed okanye omnye angaboni. Abo bantu ngamawaka ali-12, amakhulu ayi-702 ngo-2015. Ndiphinde mhlawumbi ngaphambili ukucacisa kwethu uba lo mthetho njengoba usandiswa nje mawusebenze. Ngo-2015 abantu abebenzakala amakhulu ali-10, 613 crashes. And abantu abenzakalayo paralyzed babe nengozi engenoba sajika is 12,944. As ANC ke khathalayo ngabantu, asinawuvuma loo nto uba abantu bethu basoloko besenzakala. Siyeke ke le izaya ke kweminye imibutho ngoba umoya ANC yiyo ekuthiwa kuyo sicela into ethile, akucelwa nto, zii-noise makers ezingazukwenza nto ngale nto. Si-Eastern Cape siyayivuma lo mthetho uba mawuqalise ngoku nangoko. Enkosi.
Enkosi. Free State.
Thanks very much, House Chairperson. The ALTO bill will play an important role, promote road traffic quality by providing for a scheme that discourages road traffic contravention and facilitate the efficient adjudication of road traffic infringement. The bill seeks to amend the Act in order to achieve efficiency and financial sustainability of issuing authorities. Honorable House Chairperson, the Free State Legislature embarked on an extensive public consultation process on the bill, with 5 public hearings held on the bill in the province. After consideration of the inputs received on the bill, the Free State Legislature has conferred the mandate to vote in favor of the bill. I thank you, Honorable House Chair.
Thank you. We shall now proceed to voting. I'll do it in alphabetical order. Eastern Cape.
Eastern Cape uyawuxhasa lo mthetho.
Free State.
Free State amuhela, Honorable Chair.
Gauteng.
Gauteng supports.
KwaZulu Natal.
KwaZulu Natal iyayisekela le ngxelo.
Limpopo. Mpumalanga.
Mpumalanga iyasupporta.
Northern Cape.
Northern Cape supports, Chair.
Northwest is wrong taking. Then we go to Western Cape.
We do not support this.
7 provinces voted in favor. I therefore declare the bill agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable members, order. Let me apologize for the monitors. I'm informed that they are working. the people that are working have disturbed them, but outside they are working. So you can see now the monitors in the chamber are not screening what is happening. The secretary will read the third order of the day. 3, 4, 5.
Consideration of reports of Select Committee on Trade and International Relations, agreement amending Annex 1, Cooperation and on Investment of the SADC Protocol on Finance and Investment, FIP, including the Protocol on Finance and Investment. 2, agreement establishing the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA. And 3, treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons, dated 14 November 2018.
Honorable Makue.
Chairperson, members of the House, my appreciation for the opportunity to bring these important agreements to your attention for ratification. Chairperson, with your permission, I will go through one of the agreements and then request you to guide us as to how we deal with it before I go to the others. Or would you want me to do all three at one time, Chair?
We're dealing with all of them at one time.
All at one time. Yeah. I will do so, Chair. Thank you very much. I'll start off with the ratification of the agreement amending Annex 1 of the SADC Protocol on Finance and Investment. In recognition of the increasing importance of the role played by investment to advance productive capacity, to increase economic growth and sustainable development, and the importance of the link between investment and trade, SADC countries decided to review Annex 1 of the SADC Protocol on Cooperation and Investment. The investment chapter of the South African Development Community Protocol and Finance was concluded in 2006 and was based on the first generation approach to investment. The challenges related to this first generation BITS are well known and include the limitations of the government's right to regulate and opens governments to legal challenges from private companies when government regulate in the public interest. The amendments are timely as a large number of countries are reforming their investment policies by reviewing their policies, adopting new approaches, developing new models for investment policy making aimed at addressing sustainable development concerns. The Annex ensures that the overwhelming objective for SADC countries is to protect investment to achieve inclusive growth and sustainable development. Annex 1 also promotes the right to regulate in the public interest. This is in accordance with customary international law and other general principles of international law, which ensures that the host state has the right to take regulatory or other measures to ensure that development in its territory is consistent with the goals and principles of sustainable development and with other legitimate social and economic policy objectives. The amendments before us ensures an alignment between the investment chapter of the SADC Finance and Investment Protocol and South Africa's Protection of Investment Act. It also promotes regional cooperation in the area of investment. It further encourages SADC member states to create a conducive environment for investment. Finally, it recognizes the importance of the link between trade and investment, and in this regard, member states agree to promote intra-regional trade, intra-regional investment, with a view to develop regional value chains that are critical to regional industrial development and to change the structure of our economies. South Africa's ambition of attracting $1 billion in investment also rests on the access to growing a regional market. The ratification of the amendments is critical to our broader development and regional integration objectives. The amendments to Annex 1 provide an appropriate framework on which member states of SADC should base their investment policies. It provides a framework for the harmonization of investment policies with the objective of promoting regional integration and sustainable development. Accordingly, I proudly present the amending access to this House for ratification. Chairperson, I then immediately go to the African Free Trade Area Agreement. The agreement establishing the Africa Continental Free Trade Area was signed by South Africa on the 1st of July 2018 on the occasion of the 31st Ordinary Session of the African Union Heads of State and Government in Mauritania. Cabinet and the Select Committee on the 7th of November considered and subsequently recommend the agreement for ratification in accordance with Section 2312 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. In support of the objectives of this agreement, both goods and services under Phase 1 will include investment, intellectual property, and competition under Phase 2 of the agreement. Chairperson, the African Union Assembly Heads of State has directed that this agreement must enter into force by end of December 2018. 22 instruments of ratification are required for the agreement to enter into force. As of August 2018, 49 countries have signed the agreement, with 7 of these also having ratified it. It is therefore my pleasure to also present that agreement to you, Chairperson. The third agreement that I present to you is very short. It was the shortest presentation ever to our Select Committee, presented to us in 20 minutes. But it is the most important decision for the world to make, which is the agreement related to the ratification of the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. And I'm presenting this to you on behalf of our Republic. On the 7th of July 2017, a United Nations conference adopted the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. The Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons is the culmination of the humanitarian initiative on nuclear weapons launched in 2010 in response to the lack of progress on nuclear disarmament and the long-standing impasse in multilateral nuclear disarmament negotiations. South Africa, as a key player in the humanitarian initiative and one of the original sponsors of the General Assembly resolution, mandated the negotiations on the treaty together with Austria, Brazil, Ireland, Mexico, and Nigeria, and played a leading role during the process. As of the 26th of September 2018, the date of the deposit of the last instrument of ratification, only Austria and Mexico have ratified the treaty among this core groups of states. Honorable members, to date, 69 states have signed the treaty, while 19 states have also deposited their instruments of ratification. Thus far, 15 African countries out of that 69, including South Africa, have signed the treaty, and only one country, the small one, the Gambia, has ratified it. Most of the African states are currently taking the necessary steps towards the signing and ratification to ensure its early entry into force. The treaty will enter into force 90 days after the deposit of the 50th instrument of ratification. And I'm reliably informed by Dirko that on the sides of the last meeting of the AU, it was said that if South Africa adopts this, other African countries would feel much more comfortable to adopt it as well. Therefore, given South Africa's unique history and international standing in the nuclear arena, as well as the country's commitment to use nuclear energy for peaceful purposes only, the Select Committee recommends that South Africa ratifies the treaty. Honorable Chairperson, the domestic process of ratification of international instruments have seen the treaty processed and adopted by Cabinet and tabled with Parliament in terms of Section 2312 of the Constitution. The Department of International Relations and Cooperation has briefed both the Select Committee on Trade and International Relations and the Portfolio Committee on International Relations and Cooperation, which has recommended the ratification of the treaty to the National Assembly this afternoon. The Select Committee also recommends this treaty to this House. South Africa will collaborate with the Africa Group, the non-aligned movement, civil society, and other like-minded states to promote the entry into force of the treaty. And in recognition of this historic achievement, a coalition of about 100 civil society organizations under the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons, called ICANN, was awarded the 2017 Nobel Peace Prize for ICANN's role in support of the adoption of the treaty. I present it to you with humility, Chairperson, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Makoe. That concludes the debate. I shall now put the question. The question is that the report be adopted in terms of the third order. In accordance with Rule 7.1, I shall first allow provinces to make declaration of vote if they so wish in terms of the third order. We'll proceed to voting. Eastern Cape?
Eastern Cape supports the report.
Free State?
Free State, yeah, amohela, Honorable Chair.
Gauteng?
Gauteng ya dumela, Chair.
KwaZulu Natal?
KwaZulu supports.
Limpopo?
Uma.
Mpumalanga?
Mpumalanga iyavuma, Chair.
Northern Cape?
Northern Cape supports.
Northwest?
Agreed, Chair.
Western Cape?
Agreed, Chair.
Nine provinces voted in favor. I therefore declare the report agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. I now put the fourth order to be adopted. In accordance with Rule 7.1, I shall first allow provinces to make declaration of vote if they so wish. We proceed to voting in terms of the fourth order. Eastern Cape?
Chairperson, Eastern Cape supports.
Free State?
Free State vote in favor, Honorable Chair.
Gauteng?
Gauteng supports.
KwaZulu Natal?
KwaZulu supports.
Limpopo?
Siyavuma.
Mpumalanga?
Mpumalanga yasekela, Chair.
Northern Cape?
Northern Cape supports.
Northwest?
Agreed, Chair.
Western Cape?
Westkap understand.
9 provinces voted in favor. I therefore declare the report adopted in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. We now come to the fifth order. In accordance with Rule 7.1, I shall first allow provinces to make declaration of vote if they so wish. On my left, we're fine. Eastern Cape?
Eastern Cape supports, Chief.
Free State?
Free State in favor, Chair.
Gauteng?
Supports.
KwaZulu Natal?
KwaZulu supports.
Limpopo?
Popo yafumelana.
Northern Cape? Mpumalanga?
Mpumalanga yaseka, Chair.
Northern Cape?
Northern Cape iyavuma hlalo.
Northwest?
Riyadumela, Chair.
Western Cape?
Sayixhasa mhlali ngaphambili.
9 provinces voted in favor. I therefore declare the report adopted in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. The Secretary will read the 6th order of the day.
Consideration of report of Joint Standing Committee on the Financial Management of Parliament on the Parliament of the Republic of South Africa's 2017-18 annual report dated 21 November 2018.
Honorable Monakedi.
Honorable the Presiding Officer, Honorable the Chairperson of the NCOP, who is here in the House, Honorable the Chief Whip, honorable members. It is an honor for me to table in this August House our committee report on the 2017-18 Annual Report of Parliament of the Republic of South Africa. The Joint Standing Committee on the Financial Management of Parliament is established as per the provisions of the Financial Management of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act number 10 of 2009. It is further established in terms of the Joint Rules of Parliament. The Financial Management of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act mandates the committee to, amongst others, consider the annual report of Parliament. Indeed, Honorable Chair, the committee has considered the annual report of outcomes with no material findings, which Parliament has sustained for the past 4 years since 2013-2014 financial year. In essence, under the stewardship of Honorable Mayor Modise, for the entire 5th Parliament, finances of Parliament have been managed prudently. I hope, Chair, as the executive authority, Mayor Modise, the Chair and the Speaker, will continue with this sterling performance. Honorable Chair, the 2017-18 financial year, Parliament has managed to hold executive accountable. In this regard, a total of 5,719 questions were put to the executive in the National Assembly, of which 5,264 were written and 455 were oral questions. In the National Council of Provinces, that is this House, 524 questions were put to the executive, of which 315 were written and 227 were oral questions. To achieve its constitutional mandate of passing laws for the 2017-18 financial year, a total of 18 bills were passed by the National Assembly and the NCOP, and of these 18, all of them, that is, were assented to by the President. Honorable Chair, for the first time in the history of Parliament, a money bill, that is the Adjusted Appropriation Bill, was amended using the procedure set out in the Money Bills Amendment Procedure and Related Matters Act, Act number 9 of 2009. For this, obviously, we need to thank all the members, and it deserves, for sure, your applause. Honorable Chair, you will recall that in the previous term, one of the biggest criticisms of Parliament's public participation process was that it lacked a feedback mechanism, and that previously identified challenges were rarely revisited. A noteworthy change in how taking Parliament to the people was conducted in the 2017-18 financial period was Parliament's focus on following up on its commitment. For example, when members of this House visited the Alfred Nzo District Municipality in March 2018, it was a follow-up to the visit that took place in 2016, with this time around special focus on issues previously raised. All the aforesaid achievements proved that this is a working Parliament. Of course, Honorable Chair, it is expected that Parliament should lead by example, so that the other organs of the state, which it oversees, can follow on its good work. Indeed, Parliament has managed to substantially reduce the irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure during the 2017-18 financial year. However, in this regard, the committee is of the view that thorough investigations need to be conducted before the executive authority condone or write off deviations in terms of the FMPPLA. It is therefore on this basis that the committee recommends to Parliament to urgently establish the Treasury Advice Office, which was created or provided for the purpose of advising the executive authority with regard to implementation of the FMPPLA. Honorable Chair, our committee also noted other areas needing attention. For the 2017-18 financial year, the committee noted with concern a discord between expenditure and overall performance. This may be an indicative of inadequate planning and target setting, which does not conform to SMART principles, that is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound principles. To illustrate this non-alignment, Parliament has achieved less than 57.9%, that is 11 out of 9 targets achieved, of the set targets for 2017-18 financial year. But on the expenditure side, it almost spent all its budget that was allocated. In this regard, the committee recommended that the executive authority should ensure that the annual performance plan and budget are aligned and that performance targets are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. Lastly, Honorable Chair, Parliament has reported 140 or 9.9% active vacancies at the end of 2017-18 financial year. Although this is not high vacancy rate, what is worrisome is the high number of resignations of highly skilled employees, in particular specialists and managers. The overarching motive for those resignations was the nature of their employment contract, which was on a fixed term. In this regard, the committee recommends that Parliament should consider converting the fixed-term contracts into permanent positions, in particular for highly skilled and specialists, so that it is able to attract the right skills, which in turn will assist Parliament to achieve its constitutional mandates. Furthermore, the committee recommends that an inquiry into the administration of Parliament be considered to establish why there is so high a turnover of qualified staff and managers. And of course, as a committee, we also noted and welcome the decision by the Executive Authority to appoint the Public Service Commission to look into the circumstances surrounding the death of Ndade Garana. As earlier on, also, there was a resolution that this House adopted. In conclusion, Honorable Chair, an effective and capable Parliament, which ensures that the principles of economy, efficiency, and effectiveness are at the center of any decision-making, is what will drive the attainment of our national objectives as set out in the NDP. As such, Honorable Chair, the committee will continue to strictly monitor the performance of Parliament as per the requirement of the FMPPLA, so that there is a positive impact on the lives of those we represent in this Parliament. The report is tabled for consideration. I thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the debate. I shall now put the question. The question is that the report be adopted. In accordance with Rule 7.1, I shall first allow provinces the opportunity to make declaration of vote if they so wish. Honorable Makwebo.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, if you look at, I've got a speaker's list in my hand, and what Honorable Munakedi has tabled as a report is from the Finance Committee, I suppose, but under the department here, it says Select Committee on Trade and International Relations. I think this is a mistake. The Chief Whip, I think this is wrong. I'm getting a bit confused now. Do you have a speaker's list before you, Chair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you might be having what is written something that is wrong.
I think it's
but what I have
cut and
with
paste
me
here.
is correct. And what he presented and how he introduced something that is correct. So I note what you are raising. It's a valid point. They have to give you something that is correct.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah. I was inviting provinces that want to make declaration of votes. No. Thank you. We'll do it in alphabetical order. Eastern Cape.
Thank you, Chairperson. Moya we Eastern Cape, uyavuma.
Free State.
Free State support, Chair.
Gauteng.
Gauteng support, Chair.
KwaZulu Natal.
KwaZulu Natal support, Chair.
Limpopo.
Siyavuma.
Mpumalanga.
Mpumalanga yaseka, Chair.
Northern Cape.
Northern Cape yavuma hlalo.
Northwest.
We accept, Chair.
Western Cape.
Jona Kolonia Vuma.
9 provinces voted in favor. I therefore declare the report adopted in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. The Secretary will read the 7th and the 8th order of the day.
Consideration of joint oversight report by the Select Committee on Economic and Business Development and the Select Committee on Trade and International Relations to the Western Cape, West Coast District Municipality dated 14 November 2018, and the consideration of the joint oversight report by the Select Committee on Economic and Business Development and the Select Committee on Trade and International Relations to Free State, Mangaung Metropolitan Municipality dated 14 November 2018.
Honorable Makue.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair of Chairs. I did request 12 minutes. I see the clock shows me 10. Do I have 10 only, Chair?
You have 10 for both, Honorable Makue.
Chair, the focus of our visit to the Mangaung Metropolitan Municipality was to assess how government programs are implemented to address the pressing socio-economic challenges faced by people living in this municipality. The oversight visit observed and reflected on the efforts of both national and provincial development agencies, including local government entities, in addressing the challenges identified in the National Development Plan, including the other government strategic action plans, such as the 9-point plan. We had a multi-party delegation, and we met with at least 13 organizations that participated in briefing us. During the days mentioned, we visited and conducted oversight on projects of each of those that participated in the briefing sessions. The full joint committee reports contains the details, ordinary members. This report will, due to time constraints, only highlight some of our findings and recommendations. We note with appreciation that Mangaung metropolitan area is the largest contributor to the provincial gross domestic product. Economic challenges faced by this municipality has been shared with us, and the following economic development challenges were identified: the decline in investment in the province, a lack of private sector appetite to invest in the metropolitan region, insufficient linkage of private and public sector investment, economic policy and program initiatives that are not adequately coordinated. There is a need to boost investment in infrastructure. Mining and agricultural industries have experienced declines. Economic activity is not sufficient to absorb the increasing levels of unemployed people in the municipality. And despite the city having 2 higher education institutions, the region experienced inadequate skills. Rising poverty and unemployment is therefore on the rise. We looked at policy and program coordination, and we just wish to emphasize that there is what is called DESTIA, which is the Department of Economic, Small Business Development and Tourism in the province. And it is collaborating with the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. The work of DESTIA is supported by the 2 development agencies, namely the Free State Development Agency and the Free State Tourism Authority. Partnership with the Mangaung Chamber of Commerce and Industries has also been noted and welcomed, and there is a lot of room for improvement in that cooperation. We visited projects that we have heard about from the chamber, which is a Galicia, General Supplies, which is a Caltex garage in Botshabelo that is doing very well. We visited the Mangaung Society for the Care of the Aged, that if I was living in Bloemfontein, I would definitely want to retire there. Excellent services being rendered. We visited the Kopanong's Women's Enterprise, which is struggling, Chairperson, and we also visited the Unemployment Insurance Fund and Transport, Education and Training Authority that are training many young people is a project of Transnet. We visited the Skubile bulk bag manufacturers, where a woman complained how she is being treated by some agencies in government. We send our support staff back to this project to make sure that we can successfully intervene in lifting the potential of this bag manufacturing company. We visited the Department of Labor in the Free State, where we were diverted because we were told about what happened in Wesselsbron, where people from Taung in the northwest, families are being transported to the Wesselsbron area and treated almost as slaves. We spoke to the Hawks, we spoke to subs, we spoke to intelligence agencies, and our intervention there ensured that those that are enslaving our people have been brought to justice. The culprits were captured whilst we were there in the province, and we leave it to the courts to decide on that now. Chairperson, I would jump to just talk about the SADC Power Company, where we know about the importance of electricity and what they are providing to people there. We also visited the gardens in Bloemfontein, where the Department of Tourism is assisting them with the electrification project through solar power. Chairperson, then we visited the Western Cape West Coast District Municipality, which have 5 local municipalities within this district. The purpose of the oversight was to assess the progress in implementing government development programs and identifying challenges that need to be addressed by various government departments and agencies in order to influence growth and development in the regional economy. We want to recognize the participation of those agencies in accompanying us as we visited these projects, and also accepting their accountability to this Parliament on an ongoing basis, even after the recommendations have been made. We would want to urge this House to look at ways in which we can actually ensure that the follow-up to the recommendations happen. We also appreciate the participation of officials from the West Coast District Municipality, the Swartland Municipality, the Department of Small Business Development, Trade and Industry, Labour, SIFA, SIDA, Small Enterprise Development Agency, NYDA, and the list go on, Chairperson. Allow me to just look at the challenges. The lack of regional development funds hinders any opportunities to leverage private sector investments. The removal of the Regional Services Council also created challenges and reduced the revenue base of the municipalities, thus affecting development initiatives in a negative way. The district municipality has been operating under difficult challenges such as shortage of critical personnel, inadequate capital budget, including lack of maintenance of vehicles and usage of outdated equipment. Chairperson, we also visited the Saldanha Bay Industrial Development Zone, where we were exposed to the work that is happening in the oceans economy and how that bay is being planned to ensure that the plans of the Department of Trade and Industry with regard to shipping repair facilities and also using the port better is in fact realized. We visited the Sunrise Energy project that is bringing in liquid gas into our country, and it was a pleasure to share with them the plans that they also have to contribute towards ensuring that we have sufficient energy supply, not only in the Western Cape, but also in the rest of our beloved country. We visit the Green Tech Atlantis Special Economic Zone, and we are happy to announce to this House Chairperson that the official designation of this Green Tech Special Economic Zone will be done by Minister Rob Davis on the 6th of December this year. It will become a fully fleshed SEZ with all the benefits and opportunities that SEZ offers to the economic development that benefits the people living in the province and especially the people of Atlantis living around this special economic zone. Our detailed reports, Chairperson, contain a long list of carefully considered observations and very important recommendations. We humbly present these to the House for intervention and action. Allow me to thank all our hosts and support staff on behalf of all honorable members of the two select committees for the wonderful cooperation and support that we received during these two oversights. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you. That concludes the debate. I shall now put the question in terms of the seventh order. The question is that the report be adopted. In accordance with Rule 7.1, I shall first allow provinces the opportunity to make declaration of vote, if they so wish. Thank you. Eastern Cape.
Thank you, Chairperson. Eastern Cape supports.
Free State.
Free State support, Chair.
Gauteng.
Gauteng supports.
KwaZulu Natal.
KwaZulu Natal supports.
Limpopo.
Limpopo stems up.
Mpumalanga.
Mpumalanga, yes, sir.
Northern Cape.
Northern Cape supports.
Northwest.
We accept, Chair.
Western Cape.
Sayixhasa, hleli ngaphambili.
9 provinces voted in favor. I therefore declare the report adopted in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. I now put the question in terms of the eighth order. The question is that the report be adopted. In accordance with Rule 7.1, I shall first allow provinces to make declaration of vote if they so wish. We proceed to voting. Eastern Cape.
Eastern Cape supports, Chairperson.
Free State.
Free State support, Chair.
Gauteng.
Gauteng supports.
KwaZulu Natal.
KwaZulu Natal supports, Chair.
Limpopo.
Limpopo supports.
Mpumalanga.
Mpumalanga, support.
Northern Cape.
Northern Cape supports.
Northwest.
Agree.
Western Cape.
Tshona Koloni niyaxhasa.
9 provinces voted in favor. I therefore declare the report adopted in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Order, honorable members. That concludes the business of the day. Members are requested to remain standing until the procession have left the House. The House is adjourned.